Hello, we are the team from Rebuild for Change. Joining us today, we have the founder and chief director, Faadiela Raycliffe, the administrative director and co-founder, Tahira Raycliffe, and I am the presenter, Aaron Lewis. Rebuild for Change seeks to uplift and empower communities through focusing on holistic development from early childhood to youth. We want to tell the stories that shaped us and give a voice to the community.
Could you just give us a brief overview of your time working?
I've done online training as I think I was about 19 years old. And then I was so interested into special care, special needs children. That has always been something that I was like, okay, this is something that I wanted to do. And I can remember my very, very first time was that I saw the online training for children with special needs. Yes. And I just dug into it. And I was looking, I said, oh, okay, this is what I want to do. It was free at the time. But I can remember, I think it was 19 years old, and also not able to go to varsity. Yes. Or having any tertiary education at the time. So I remembered I went to, it's called a place in a retreat. And standing there, job seeking. That was the age of 19 while I was still doing the online at home and so forth. And I was standing in a queue, with a long queue of people standing, waiting for the job because now I need to work. And eventually got into the job as a sewing machine, clothing, sewing clothing.
Seamstress?
I've had no idea or no clue about how to work a sewing machine, but I got into that. And then I think I was struggling a little bit with it, and then I said, okay, now we'll put you with the cleaning of the garments. So when it comes from the machiners, I had to clean all the threads that was on there, and I started cleaning that. And I said to myself, no, man, this is not what I want to do. But it was still at the factory where they had they knitted jerseys. That was basically what they specialized in. And then I thought, okay, no, man, this is not what I wanted to do. And I thought, okay, I need to do something. And I said, okay, can't I help in the office? I just found the love to, and I think that is because I am that person who is very specific to detail, specific to detail, and then I got the.
Were you doing this all while you were studying the special care?
Yes, that was in between. And then it was, I think I was for a year in it, and then there was a post open at a special needs school, which was in my area, and I've applied for that, and they also sent me on training, on courses through the Western Cape Mental Department. And started as an assistant teacher, worked my way up in a few months' time to a teacher, and then I became the head teacher of the ECD, not the ECD, sorry, the special need care. So and that is how I worked my way up. And I think it's more of my determination of not wanting to be just not doing nothing, and it was the beginning.
That really did take a lot of initiative too. And I guess that shows that you always need to be looking for the next opportunity, how you worked your way all the way up. And that's just such a beautiful story
and
too.
I think an evident characteristic for anyone, for what it sounds like from your story, was you just didn't accept that, you got something, even though it was what you needed at the time. You knew that you knew your own capabilities and yourself. And that sort of brings us in our topic today for what could be lacking within the youth of today. And because you at that age, you knew, even though you were 19 working in a factory just to get money to a living, you understood that that's not where you wanted to be eventually.
You talked about, Faadiela, how you worked your way up, starting, from being almost like a seamstress to working your way into the office, how that helped you become an ECD teacher. So we do know one of the biggest problems today facing South Africa is unemployment, and specifically youth unemployment. Yeah. So can you explain to us what makes you think leads to that current youth unemployment rate today, and maybe what could be some of the solutions?
Yeah, as Tahira was mentioning, is that yes, I've had that determination just to not be a seamstress straight out of school, and wanting to work my way up. And you need to be determined to get somewhere in life. And also within, and I just want to share this as well, is that when I've been working at the special case school, and then that is where I started with my career. Sometimes then things just are, sometimes I wouldn't say unfortunate, but there were some. I got married, and then when my second
life events
born,
happen,
exactly. So my second born, my second child, son, he was born, but then I faced with a challenge where he needed to have a mom because he felt very ill. He had some illness, Boy's reflux that he had, and that just I had to give up my
Did it
career.
feel like a setback at the time?
At the time, yes, because I was in and out of hospital with him, and it was just, okay, I had to leave my employment because I had to be a stay-home mom to take care of him because he's been very ill with the reflux that he was developed with, and had to go under an operation at the age of 7 months, so he needed my care at the time. And this is where I can really say, oh no, I'm not going to sit there again. Very determined to, and I was, how old was I at the time? I was about 25 years old at the time, 26 years old at the time, which is I was still a youth, whether you are married, whether you have kids.
That's my age right now.
Okay, so we're still we still youth. And I said, I can't do this. Yeah. And then my career in ECD started. I've done, and I said, no, I need to do something. And then I studied at the Muslim Assembly, did my NQF level 4, and I kept busy, even though I was a mom that had to take care of a baby that was his milestones were set back due to his illness that he had. And I can still remember that I used to have assignments, and then he would be one side, my eldest daughter had to be one side, and that is where I said, no, determination comes in again.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I said, no, ECD, this is the way, and we are as.
But do you think that is, because listening to you and that story sounds like you lived a very balanced life where you were like, I can have a career and I can also look after my children, be there as a mother for them. That thing, do you think like that is what we see with youth today? I know that you've worked with a lot of young women over the past years. How would you say?
You're correct in that way, is that and working with the youth. I've been managing 2 programs where I was working before, and working with about the amount of 30 youth that I had to manage into different programs. And the saddest part for me was that most of them, and I would say about 90% of that 30 youth that I've been managing, is that some of them were young mothers, not married, fathers that is the father, not married, and had to support their children. And for me, what I saw was that it was merely just I needed a job to put food on my table. I need to pay rental to my parent or where they were living at. The guys that were there had to. I need to support my child at the end of the day. And to me, and that is why I've always been encouraging in my team building workshop that I had with my team on a monthly, always encouraging them. You don't need to just sit where you are. There is life, right? And they were all matriculants. Yes. And you don't need to just do what you are doing because the job is just the job. Yes. And at the end of the month, I just get my salary, which is not even, the salary wasn't even minimum yes, salary yes. that they've received. It didn't even, they couldn't even manage their own personal lives with that money that they received. And encouragement to them, I encouraged them all the time, and always taking my story to them, no matter whether you're a mom, whether you're a wife, whether you're a husband.
And that's important.
Yes, it is. And that encouragement, I think, made them also realize is that we need to go further. And they had no tertiary education, only sitting with a matric certificate.
Yes.
And I think that's the saddest part of it. It's because of the economy that they are in or the situations that yes. they are in. And it's youth that comes from underprivileged areas. And
that is evident because
it's a vicious cycle. That if you're born into poverty in an underprivileged situation, it's harder to escape versus you came from a privileged
also having sort of a dream of even though it's a job right now, where do I want to be, and by sort of making your job help you elevate, because even though you were working at a factory, you were still doing side things, you were still going out looking, even if it was for free. And I do know of researching and going on the internet a lot these days, which is a very amazing thing that you never had. You couldn't just go on social media and people posting opportunities or going on the internet, where there is actually a lot of free courses and platforms. It does take a lot of effort. And this is obviously my personal opinion. I do think there are a lot of youth out there that do try everything. They really put themselves out there. But for me, it's how many times a day do you spend actually looking on the internet, spending hours, And I have this thing where I just say apply, even if nothing comes from it. So, not giving up. And I was also wondering, from your point of view, because I don't know, I know you, we know that you're from America. How is it with the youth in America with today's economic situation?
I think all over the world, it seems like a lot of different countries, the economy right now is really rough. We have rapid inflation. But one thing that America does provide, it does try to provide opportunities. You do have some social safety nets, but also that might be in the form of scholarships to higher education, such things as job programs. And I think what South Africa lacks the most is just connecting the two, because South Africa might have a program available, there might be funding, but then you have the beneficiaries, the people that need it the most. Sometimes they just can't find it, because this might mean they have to research online or they have to go somewhere. So I think Rebuild for Change could really bridge that gap when you help bring the opportunities to those people, and then they can explore that way.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, Aaron. And and coming back to from my experience in working with this youth is that, and I can say about 3% of that group that I had realized the importance of having either tertiary education or go to varsity, and
or even short courses that are outside of
yes. And there were times when I assisted them in doing applications to the varsities. There was the one young lady, and I mean, you can see those who are, who are really wants to be there, and she did she's now got her BA degree,
Wow,
which
that's
is amazing. And then there was the one young lady that she had a child. She had to self-support the child. She lives with a grandma. So with her, and she also applied to study. But unfortunately, it was a month, and she said to me, Miss Faadiela, I can't do this anymore. And I asked her, why are you struggling with the work or assignments that you did? She said, no, it's just too much work and then she was working because she had to work, because she had to put food on the table.
Getting
she had to see to her son and even the grandma. She lived with a grandma, which is just a pensioner. And she just dropped out like that. And I think that is what we as Rebuild for Change would also want to encourage within our youth program, that we would support them with the CV. Drafting up their CVs. And if you looked at their CVs when they come, I'm telling you, it's not even professionally done because they can't hire a professional person to draft the CV. They just do what they are able to.
Basic skills. Because what I do wish high school prepared us more. Yeah. I mean, I'm 25 years old, and I, at this age, wish that I would learn in high school. We have life orientation. We learn a lot of valuable things, but also there's a key aspect of life after school that they just don't address. Like, you have a perspective of what you think it will be, and then you enter real life as a young adult, and you're like, I don't know. And imagine if you don't. Like, I was lucky enough to have family support, but like the one girl you're talking about, the young lady, she only had a grandmother who was, had her own things, a child. I mean, so I can't imagine what it's like, and I wish. I'd hope that schools. I don't know what it's like being so many years out of school. That they offer that sort of career development as well, and sort of just prepare you for life after school, whether you go to university or whether you don't, and educating young people on that.
I think giving people hope is one of the biggest gifts that you can give them, because a lot of the youth, they might see their family, maybe their parents, older siblings, that they didn't have an education or didn't go very far. They think for them there is no hope. They think I will just be either unemployed or maybe even a below minimum wage job, and they just don't see the potential future that they could have. So just giving them hope and just showing to them, you can make it. There are possibilities. It's amazing.
Yeah, and that is exactly what we at Rebuild for Change would want to change, is that the mindset, and I think it's the mindset of our youth today. It's not and how many unemployed youth are there? And in the areas that we are living, how many youngsters, youth, even younger than the youth, children are standing on the streets begging with a cup for money. So that is the change that we would really want to do. What is out there? What can we do for the youth? And they've got so much potential. And it's about bringing out the ability in them. And they don't know that because of their self-esteem has dropped so much. So that is what we want to build up within them, self-esteem. You are able to do it. You can do it. Whether you have a matric, whether you don't have a matric. And I can relate to the story now with my daughter-in-law. And she failed 2 subjects. That was about 2-3 years ago. Yes. And she never had the courage to just rewrite that 2 subjects. And I've encouraged her. No, you are going to. Now she's job hunting, seeking job and whatever. And I said, focus on rewriting those 2 subjects. It's only 2. And try to motivate her through time. And there came a time, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and she said to me, Mommy, I am ready. Wow, and I think if we can do, if we can change that in youth,
It all starts with the mindset.
Determination, your mindset, your goal. Just don't look one direction. Oh, I need money to put food on my table. Yes, it is important, but education is still important. And this is to the youth that doesn't have matric. If you know you've got the ability to do a subject, I would look back and say, okay, it's only 3 subjects. Put your mind to that. Oh, it's only 3 subjects that I need to do. So I think, and I think it's also about encouragement. We need to support them. And without support is that, I think without support to our youth, I don't think that they will have the courage.
How did you manage to keep that courage when you were going through young, not finishing or not having a university degree, not exactly entering the working world with like all the documents and everything? How did you have that courage back then?
I think because of growing up with a grandparent, and I think it's maybe just I think for me it was maybe just the type of person that I am, and I'm a very determined person, and I think that kept me going, and also the support that I had at the time from my parents, and they supported me in any way, and I think because of now is also the lack of support that our youth have. So it's just about determination, encouragement, support, which is important, and just give them a point. We'll give you that point, and you take it through, and also take them through, and looking back look at where you were, and look at where you are now. I think that is important, and I think that is what we would want to change, even writing up the CV, starting with your CV.
And also just making community of support,
do voluntary work. I was a volunteer as well. That is what I will not mention.
Yes.
I've been volunteering as well.
And those all count for something.
No, definitely.
Yes, so...
Yeah.
It's very multifaceted too. You have to have the mindset, you have to have the determination, and then also something that Rebuild for Change helps do is even the practicals, building the CV, building the resume, getting connected with trainings, things like that.
Definitely.
So what is your last message to the youth? If you were to give them a message from you, what would your message be?
My message, it's not even long. I would just say, have courage.
That's a wonderful message.
Thanks.
That is an amazing message, and I think we all can have courage. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to follow along on our journey and see our impact. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching Rebuild for Change. If you'd like to learn more about our impact, go to www.rebuildforchange.org. Once again, thank you for joining us today. Let's work together and make a change.